The concept of beauty is it has to look natural. It has to look like it belongs on a human being's face, which is a kind of a strange statement to make, but many times you see features that eyes are slanted in a certain ways, noses that are pinched in a certain way, that just simply, they don't happen in nature. That immediately changes the beauty and it turns it into something different, even if the person started out with a beautiful face. The other element is, which is so important, is making sure that the face has harmony. You know, for example, somebody might point out a beautiful nose on one patient, but if they were to take that nose and put it on another patient, no longer would that face be beautiful because it doesn't fit. There's no harmony or balance between the two. So understanding those elements and then creating that as a part of the procedure is such an important part of creating the naturally beautiful face.
I had 4 children from the age of 29 to 35. And after the last baby, I remember really looking in the mirror and I kept thinking, well, it's because I didn't sleep well or there was something, but I really could tell I looked really tired. I used to get really excited, put a little bit of makeup on, feel great and go out. And I was needing more makeup. I wasn't as excited to go out. I didn't feel like whatever I did, I could look my best. So I knew if I could check 2 things off, and one is a natural procedure where I'm going to end up looking completely natural, a safe procedure where there's almost 0 side effects or any harm to myself. I like the way I look more now than I did even in my early 30s, late 20s.
I grew up in a household where my mom was sick. She had a heart condition. And most of my childhood was going in and out of the hospital with her visits. And it gave me an interest in medicine as a general field, and I was fascinated by the things that the doctors were doing to improve her health. When I got out of high school, she ended up having a heart transplant, and seeing the transformation, really literally saving her life and in net result saving the family, got me inspired to be a surgeon. I was going to go on and fulfill the role of helping others in the same way and become a heart surgeon. But what happened was, during the first year of medical school, I got a lecture on the field of facial plastic surgery. And right then and there, it was an epiphany for me. It inspired me in the sense that I realized that there was a creative side to me that wasn't being fulfilled with the thought of going into heart surgery and the opportunity making decisions that are different for each patient and understanding how to bring it all together. As I learned more about the field, I realized that this was a good fit for me from a surgical point of view, but also a personality point of view. And currently it really is like living a dream, being able to do what I've always wanted to do, which is basically have a high-level facial plastic surgery practice and able to help so many people.
I was biking. I had to stop and I had a phone in my hand, so the brakes in the back didn't work, the front brakes. I used only the front brakes, so I went over the bike on my face, landed on my face, and I broke the helmet and I shredded my lips, and there was a big cut from here all the way down to here. He heard that something happened to me, I'm in the hospital. He just showed up. And what I remember, I came to and I looked up and I saw this doctor that was supposed to work on me. He was sitting on the side, and I saw Dr. Karam sitting on beside him. And the doctor, as they washed me, they realized how bad it was. They didn't know. And I saw that look in his eyes, the doctor's eyes. He just went shock and fear, and it was scary to look at him. And I just saw what happened. Dr. Karam's face was so calm and confident and caring, and they just switched places because the other doctor didn't want to touch me because he didn't know how to.
So an interesting point is that a lot of people on the outside look at people who undergo plastic surgery as they're doing it through vanity or motivations that are very self-oriented. But what's interesting is a lot of times either the person starts with a feature that they feel uncomfortable with. Let's just say, for example, somebody has a bump on their nose, and they don't feel like it fits in well with their face. And every time somebody takes a photograph of them or they're in a social situation, they feel self-conscious of it. And not until they come and they get the hump reduced and their nose looks like it belongs on their face, they feel comfortable and they feel self-confident again. And what we see with a facial rejuvenation patient is exactly the same. Patients will note all the time that their internal views of themselves doesn't change much over the years. They continue to feel full of life, yet when they catch a glimpse of themselves in the mirror, they see somebody that doesn't look like they feel.
There'd be times when I would be on my iPad and somehow accidentally I would take a picture of myself and I'd see this wrinkled, saggy face on screen and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so sad, this is scary, and this is me. I really wanted to look like I feel because I'm healthy and I'm full of life and energy, and so now I feel my new look pretty much is in sync with my physical and my mental being.
I've exercised my whole life. I watch my diet. I'm in actually great health. My physique is reasonable, and that was from the neck down. And most specifically within the last decade or so, I could see a deterioration, if you will, in which the gravity was having an effect on my face. And although I can't say I was depressed about it, it was pretty evident. The day after surgery, as things progressed, you just feel better. And it's instantaneous. I plan on living for another 20, 30 years. And in doing so, I want to look my best.
It's very important for us to make each patient feel like they're part of our family here. I'm responsible for basically being the patient concierge through the entire surgical process. Schedule their surgery. I also am their main point of contact during the entire process, before and after the surgery, to answer all their questions.
It starts with being a good listener and understanding what the person wants. Because I think too many times the patient comes into a plastic surgeon's office and it becomes the surgeon, they look at the patient as a blank slate or a canvas that is up to the surgeon, but that's really not what it's about. The stance I take, and I think this is the approach that most patients appreciate, is that they want to be heard. They come in with a very specific need and they want the surgeon to understand that need and offer them a solution. And so starting with good listening skills and understanding and being willing to address the patient's problems and not what your ideal would be as a surgeon is very important. And then just other qualities, I think, is to be constantly motivated to educate yourself, keep up with the changes that are happening in our profession, and to innovate and to offer the greatest level of care for the current state of the art.
I'd always kind of been interested in surgery because from the time I hit 30, it always seemed like my eyes started to show, not necessarily age, but sort of a fatigue look. So I started to get some of that bagging and shadowing, and I found myself constantly putting makeup on in a way to get rid of the shadows. And so I thought maybe down the line it's something I would do. And then the timing came, around, and it was like a perfect opportunity. Everything came together at the right time. I was able to do the downtime and recover. And I just really felt like Dr. Karam was the right doctor. My husband has not been really excited or on board about this whole thing. He was very concerned about my well-being. He was very concerned about, things going wrong, things looking weird. Even though he knows his work and has seen the before and afters, because it was me, he was very concerned. And he held my hand as I was walking out the door and said, please don't go, can we just not do it? And so I left, and I was worried about him more than anything. For myself, I was really comfortable. I feel like all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted, and everything was, I felt really prepared for what was to come. So I was very relaxed, and I was with my mom, and she and I always have a really good time, so.
Absolutely dead set against it. My greatest fear was that she would come out of the process not looking like the woman that I married. I happen to think she was quite beautiful the way she was, so why do we need to change anything? I wanted to have a consultation with Dr. Karam and speak with him a little bit regarding the issue, so she set up a half an hour, 45-minute consultation with the doctor. I came in and I had a list of questions to ask him. In chatting with him, he answered all the questions before I even got a chance really to ask him. Amy's a very youthful person inside, and now her face kind of matches her personality and whatnot. The other interesting thing to watch is to watch people that see her for the first time post-op and post-recovery, and the reactions are pretty incredible. People are really blown away.
The intersection between our mind, our physical appearance, and our spirit really is a point that I think I've become more and more aware of as time goes on. Many patients, I remember in the beginning of my career, would look at the before and afters and say the afters all look a little happier. You know, even though they weren't smiling, because we purposely asked them to keep the same sort of look that they had in the pre-photo, so we can make proper comparisons. But there was a glimmer in their eye. There was a feeling that the person was happier, and that's, I would say, one of the most interesting and rewarding aspects of what I do is when we see patients in the post-operative period, to see how happy they are as a result of the changes. They just say they wake up in the morning and they just feel happier because they look at this face that is bright and fresh, and it resembles how they feel inside. So it lifts their spirits and it makes them feel better. And I think that is an aspect that has probably been very neglected in a way in terms of when we speak about plastic surgery and we speak about the benefits of it, is we think more in terms of the physical outcomes, but really at the end of the day, and this is my strong belief, is that the real outcome that we're looking at, and the real reward of the procedures, is how it affects their spirit and how it affects their level of joy and happiness.
This man is changing lives.